Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. Do you want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros Podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-hosts.
Abraham.
And Nick.
How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good.
I'm doing all right.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Can't complain, dude. Today I felt like a slug. I didn't want to do nothing.
Me too. But at work today was just so busy, and I just felt like I was moving like 5 miles an hour. Like, I usually feel like my day's quick there, but today felt like I was on the slow lane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
was
me
not
too.
hitting.
Yeah. The day flew by for me because I actually had stuff to do.
Mm.
So it felt like it flew by, which I don't know. It's a blessing and a curse because, the day ends quickly, but then I'm like, where did the time go? You know.
I always think about I just gotta go to sleep and do it again. That's like
that's
the thing that
Yeah.
makes it so hard to stay motivated. I think to myself in bed, I gotta do that again. I gotta do it again and again and again for 5 times.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
just for 2 days to myself. You know.
I get you.
Yeah, it's tough. Today was a
That reminds me of-
particularly tough one.
That reminds me of that I think you should leave clip where Tim Robinson is like, what did they do to us? What is this world? And then he's like, there's something wrong with this world because for 50 seconds I was excited not to go to work because I thought a monster was going to come into my room and eat me alive. Like, it's this whole infomercial for a doggy door.
Oh yes.
And he just going,
It's that freaking yes.
what is this world? And he's like, I come to find out it was my neighbor who put a pig with a Nixon mask. He's like, but for 50 seconds I thought there were monsters on this world because my job just runs me into the ground.
I'm sharing that same mentality right now.
I get you. Yeah, I feel you. I feel like everyone's been there, but the person that we follow throughout this movie doesn't have to worry about that, bro.
He's done single thing in the book, man.
Yeah,
every
seriously.
single thing. Once he's done with one,
On to the next.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he even invested in that fruit company, and they sent him the letter that says you don't got to worry about money
You're
no
set
more.
for
And he
life.
said,
No money.
that's good. One
less
less thing to worry about.
One less thing. I'm like, bro.
That's what I want.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what movie are we talking about today?
We are talking about the 1994 film Forrest Gump. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and it was written by Winston Groom and Eric Roth.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know this, but this is actually a book that was written by Winston Groom. He's the author of the book.
Did not
I
know.
saw that in the beginning of the movie. I saw that it was, what's that word?
Based on a novel.
Adapted.
Based on
Adapted,
adapted.
yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because I didn't know that after watching it. So it's my first time watching it fully, but I've seen it so many times, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty crazy hearing the date 1994 when this movie came out. I went and looked at the Oscars for 95 because this movie won 6 Oscars.
Everything.
Like
probably.
it won Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Editing, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Effects, like all this stuff. It got nominated for so much more. And then I went and looked, and I was like, man, what else came out in 94? You got movies like Leon the Professional,
Ooh.
Pulp Fiction came out that
Wow.
year, Natural Born Killers, The Mask, The Shawshank
The
Redemption.
Mask didn't win best editing or best.
It got nominated for makeup, I think.
Oh,
But,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Shawshank Redemption comes out that year.
94.
Gets shafted at the Oscars by this movie.
Oof.
And Pulp Fiction. Same, other movies that came out that were pretty notable were like Speed.
You
and
talk
like,
about that all the freaking time.
the Winona Ryder version of Little Women, Dumb and Dumber, like
Dumb and Dumber.
The Crow, Legends of the Fall. Like there's just
94.
tons and tons of movies that came out that year that were pretty influential. And I think that year was the first year Quentin Tarantino took home an Oscar because he took one home for Best Screenplay for Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
And it was like, one of the few things that actually won besides like Forrest Gump and a couple other movies that aren't really talked about anymore. But yeah, I thought it was crazy. And then seeing The Shawshank Redemption get nominated for so many things and lose
To Forrest Gump.
to Forrest Gump, which arguably I think is the far superior movie.
I do actually. You know what? Whenever I was a kid, I would have told you, "How dare you? I hate you." Forrest Gump is the GOAT.
But no,
But I've mellowed out. I do think that Shawshank Redemption is superior.
Yeah.
by a couple points at least.
Yeah. And I was looking at that whole year and it was just like, man, like a lot of good movies came out that year, pretty influential movies as well.
94.
So. Yeah, and I say that because Forrest Gump was like such a staple in my household for some reason. Like my parents
It was on
my
all
parents
the time.
my parents named our first two dogs after Forrest and Jenny.
Really?
Yeah, like my childhood dog growing up was a yellow Labrador named Forrest. And then we got a Basset Hound named Jenny. And like they named our dogs after these characters. And again, this was a movie that I just like constantly watched throughout my childhood.
Yeah.
Like it was just always on, whether it was on TV or I popped in the VHS or my parents were like, let's watch Forrest Gump again for some reason, Like I even remember when my dad got like their newest TV that they have right now at their house. The movie he put on
Was it Forrest
to
Gump?
test it out was Forrest Gump. And it was like you couldn't think of any other like one like Avatar maybe or something like that would like test like the dynamic range of the TV or
Pandora.
something like that, right? And he was like, "Nah, this is a great movie. Let's put it on." Forrest Gump.
It's an easy movie to love.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all of the ideals that you think of when you think of like old time America,
Right.
being successful, making it through hard difficulties,
Yeah.
and feeling like this overall sense of achievement.
Right.
And it makes you feel like, well, if he could do it, so can I.
Yeah. I've also always loved the movie for its like portrayal of history in like the late 60s and early 70s. Like Forrest just happens to be at
It,
like
like-
all these pivotal moments. Like he's at Watergate. Like he's
I
the
know, I
person
was
that calls in Watergate. Like and like other things where he fight. Yeah, like meets Elvis. Like he somehow inspired Elvis with his dance moves and like helped John Lennon write Imagine. Like things like that. Like I pick up on that stuff as I got older, and I was just like, this is crazy to like think that in this area or this world that is being built here that this man is seemingly like influencing so many things that he has no idea about.
Yeah.
And I love the movie for that aspect and just how enjoyable it is. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the movie has just cemented itself also in just
American culture.
American culture, right?
It's
Like
literally like
you can
for
go-
nostalgia.
right, you can go to a Bubba Gump's, like
There
actually-
literally. Oh,
you can go to a Bubba Gump's shrimp house and
Don't-
like sit down, eat seafood and all that stuff. Like I think the closest one to us is in Monterey.
dude, don't
Right.
play with me with some shrimp and lobster mac and cheese.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and then like the restaurant is even like self-aware to the point where like they give you trivia about Forrest Gump. Whenever you sit down, they ask you questions about the movie, or like they give you coasters and there's little facts
Yep.
about
Yeah.
the movie on the coasters and all this stuff. And like there's just all this memorabilia all over the place.
All the license plates, all that stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's
the
crazy.
bench in front.
Mhm.
Right. And like it even has his shoes. Like you like put like your feet in his shoes and
Yeah.
act like you're wearing those Cortezes, Like,
pretty nice.
yeah, it's just this movie has ingrained itself in American culture. Again, like I mentioned it last episode when we were ending, like when I was in school, if you saw anybody running at full speed, someone was yelling, right. Or same thing when, like, I don't know, like in my house, my dad always thought it was hilarious when Forrest said, "I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is," and would like say that all the time in my household for no reason, and like it's cemented in my brain, like my dad doing Forrest Gump impressions and like laughing at the most inappropriate scenes. This is just, again, a movie that's been in my life for so long. It's felt like.
Yeah. What's your just brief takes of Tom Hanks and just in general?
I like Tom Hanks.
Bro.
I think no one else could play him. No one else could play Forrest Gump the way Tom Hanks did.
No way.
And like when I went and did some research as to like the people that they were looking at to cast as Forrest Gump before Tom Hanks was solidified, I could see a couple of them, but there is nobody in my mind that could play this character the way that he did. And like Tom Hanks has been in my childhood forever as well. Like I'm thinking of all the Toy Story movies and Castaway, Big, you know, like just all these huge movies that he's been in that have been
nothing
but
but bangers.
Yeah,
honestly.
like yeah, he's just been in all of these movies that I've grown up with.
Yep.
And yeah, I enjoy Tom Hanks.
What do you think, Abe?
I love Tom Hanks. I think he's a phenomenal actor. But I don't have like nothing bad to say about him. He's just any movie that he puts out, I want to see. I haven't seen one that's bad. But I wanted to bring up, do you remember when there was a school nearby that was like Tom Hanks is gonna?
Yes, I do. It was
I think it was Fireball.
No, it wasn't Fireball, or it was Kerman.
It was Kerman. Kerman
was
High School was like.
I remember I went to that game to see him because I thought he was gonna be there.
Kerman High School was like advertising Tom Hanks is gonna be at their homecoming game.
Yeah.
What?
Or something like that.
Why?
To like support him or something like that.
Weird.
And they were like posting it and like it got like
He never
to
showed
every school.
He was there.
He was there?
He was there, but
He
it
was
was
there via screen.
Yeah.
What? Oh, that's some dirt, dude.
I know.
They literally had him in a projector, bro.
What?
Yeah.
And it was like a Skype call?
Yeah, something like
Or
that.
like a pre-recorded message?
Yeah, I think it was pre-recorded.
Wow.
And it like blew up all over social media, and schools were like, "There's no way they're gonna do this for the homecoming." Like
That's filthy.
and
Yeah.
that's what they got, bro.
Man, well, I mean, what a way to bring people to the stadium. They probably got ticket sales
Through the roof.
Through the
I
roof.
went. I never go to sport events, and I went to that.
That's
Just to
crazy.
see Tom Hanks.
Yeah, to give context, that was around the time when Burger King came out with their black burger. You guys remember that?
No.
Black burger?
Yeah, it was like the bun was black, and I think the cheese was black as well.
Oh, I've never.
No,
I don't
what is
remember
that?
You don't remember that?
No.
And
Anytime
then-
I think of Burger King now, I think of Burger King foot lettuce.
Oh my gosh! Well, you know how they did the Spider Burger,
Yeah.
and it was the red.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It was a Whopper, but black. Yeah, and everyone was like,
it,
"Gotta try it." And then they would be like, "Oh, the poop turns black," and all that stuff.
It came out in late October 2015.
Oh, I thought you had a picture of it.
Oh, I can pull up a picture.
I've never seen
And
it.
I remember,
I don't
we
remember.
went to that. We went to that
no!
It
game.
looks like molded and nasty.
It just looks like
It's a black bun.
it looks like a black burger, but it doesn't look good.
And it doesn't ever look that good off rip. Like when they serve it
That
to you,
looks filthy, dude.
they probably make it like that, and then whoever wraps the John
They
just
just
goes.
they
And then they're
freaking
like-
punch it and then wrap it up. Yeah.
We went to the game and I had that. That's why I remember it so well. I
Tell
was
me
like,
your
I
poop
gotta-
was
I
black.
gotta try. I can't remember. I
That's
wish
funny,
it was.
man. That's like a funny.
That's so long ago.
So you had a pretty. I mean, do you think of Tom Hanks favorably?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's you know what, I forget his talent a lot very easily. And I don't really think about more of his recent stuff, which I can't. I mean, I know he's in Asteroid City.
Yeah.
He's done A Man Called Otto, which I heard was good. Elvis, I know people clowned on him for his accent there.
Yeah.
But he really sold his role.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to think of more of his older films for me that
Yeah.
really, solidified his
Yeah.
talent in my mind.
Yeah, me too. Now, what about his son, Chet Hanks?
Don't even start.
How do you
Who's
feel
that?
about him?
I was gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
You know his son, Chet Hanks.
Has he done anything notable?
He was on the Eric Andre show recently.
Chet Hanks.
Yeah, dude,
He's
you'll
the dude
know.
that got fired. He got
he got
reamed
yeah, he
for
got
doing that accent.
He started speaking patois on the red carpet just out of nowhere. Like someone like randomly, goes to interview him and he just starts breaking out like, "Oh, Bombaclat, you don't know, eh?" Like, and this guy's white, bro. He's like whiter than white. And everyone is like, "Yo, why is this guy speaking patois on the red carpet?"
No
and then he
idea.
like really played into it and just like kept it going on his social media pages and all that stuff. And his most notable online video type thing is the interview with Channel 5 for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did an interview with Andrew Callahan for Channel 5, and it's hilarious. I love it. But
I don't know any movie that he's in.
Chet Hanks is not like, he's in a couple episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm actually.
Is he really?
Yeah, I'm
Really?
remembering it now. He plays some guy that's marrying Larry David's friend's daughter, and he plays like an ex-Marine or something like that. And there's a part where like he goes into shell shock and
No.
like starts having war flashbacks because they do a Civil War reenactment, and he starts like reliving some of his trauma on the reenactment
Oh,
battlefield and starts like actually hurting people and stuff.
Gee.
It's pretty funny, but
That reminds me of a TV show. I don't know. The TV show was a very bad TV show, so please excuse me. It was Whitest Kid You Know.
oh, dude, I loved Whitest Kid You Know.
Bro, that was one of the funniest, like, stuff like that
Yeah,
reminded me
yeah.
of Whitest Kid You Know. And I used to watch that show religiously.
I did too. I found out about it through YouTube,
Yeah, no.
and like just like random scenes would get posted on YouTube, and I was like, "What is this show?" And then I would end up finding it, and yeah, I shouldn't have watched that show at the age that I was.
yeah, at the age
but-
that I was, and I blame my brother actually, because he would be on YouTube, and then I would watch what he was watching,
Yeah.
and then finally we were able to get cable, and it was on the channel. I think it was AMC,
No, IFC.
IFC. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And dude, and it would come on after a certain time. Like it wasn't during the day. I think it was after like 9 o'clock. It would always show that,
Yeah.
and that's what we would watch.
Now, isn't it crazy that one of the guys that acts and did a lot of the writing and stuff for Whitest Kids You Know would go on to make Barbarian?
Barbarian.
Yeah, that horror movie on HBO Max, Barbarian.
You know the movie, dude. Suckling on the breast of that woman.
Yes. One of the guys is the writer-director for Barbarian. He started out, and he started out with Whitest Kids You Know.
That's wild.
Isn't that wild? I also was another crazy thing. This is way off topic, but that movie that A24 just came out with, Talk to Me or something like that.
It
with
sounds cool.
with the hand.
Yeah,
it
no.
goes like.
Now get this. You know the YouTube sketch videos with Ronald McDonald torturing that
yes,
kid?
wait, it's them.
Yes, they created this movie.
I'm out of
The
the.
Ronald
the Ronald
McDonald, the
McDonald
guy-
where he's like, "The fuck are you looking at?" and is like smacking the kid, and like
You've never seen.
you'll know it if you
I'm
saw
gonna pull it
it.
up on YouTube without any.
But
Is Ronald on top of a counter and he goes?
Yes,
"Ow!"
yeah.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
that's
Yes.
I know that scene.
That YouTube channel, they're brothers. They did Talk
An
to
A-
Me, an A24 film. It's a horror movie, which I heard it's getting pretty good reviews too. but
Okay, A24, man, they love to give
Yeah.
people the shot.
it's crazy.
I think they're called Rocka Rocka.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found their video.
Yes. Yeah,
86
it's-
million views.
Yeah, it's
On YouTube.
crazy. But yeah. Anyways, besides the point, we're here to talk about Forrest Gump, not Not
We haven't even
not
I
YouTubers
know.
turned filmmakers.
We've done everything we could to not talk about this movie.
But yeah.
We've done everything but talk about this movie.
Well, let's
It's
get back
not
on track a little
bad.
bit. It's not. It's
It's not.
enjoyable. It's a
Yes.
fun one.
Yeah.
Let's get a brief synopsis of the film, a spoiler warning, and then we'll dive into our categories.
Yeah, let me give you a synopsis real quick. This movie is about a kid who turned how would I describe him first? Because we get him in as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just a person.
we get about this person named Forrest Gump, and we get to see a timeline of his life and what he goes through and everything that he does to get to where he's at right now.
Right.
And literally, that's all it is. It's a storytelling movie.
Yeah, right. We watch this guy's life unfold on screen.
And
And he just, he might not be the smartest guy, but
he's
he
not the
always-
dumbest guy.
he always finds a way to be at like the right place at the right time, and he always knows like the right thing to say. And everything that this guy does like influences somebody in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting life that you watch unfold on screen, and it's again become iconic. It has again cemented itself in American culture, and I think honestly is just always going to be relevant. I
Yeah.
think from now until the end of time, people are always going to talk about Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think this is a movie that's, I say when I'm like 50 or 60, people are going to be like, oh, dude, let's watch the movie still.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, I would never turn it down. I think.
yeah,
Be like,
yeah.
"Oh,
Same here.
throw it on. Let's see what we got."
Yeah. So, if you haven't seen Forrest Gump, which I would be very surprised if you hadn't, it's currently streaming on Paramount Plus and Pluto TV, I think. If you don't have those platforms, you can rent it somewhere. Or if you got it physically, pop it in. Get a little bit of a refresher, because we are going to be talking about some spoilers. So if you don't want to hear that stuff, or if you, again, want to get a refresher, pause it, come back. If you don't care about that stuff, continue listening.
yeah.
So, as always, we're going to start with our first category, which is favorite scenes. What do we got?
My first favorite scene is kind of shocking, but it's not until like a good 45 minutes into the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had me and Nick kind of talked about this a little bit before recording, but I kind of had a hard time denoting what my favorite scenes were,
Yeah.
because the movie and the way that it is told, the way the story is told, is very like kind of like scenes are just like strung together, and nothing. It feels like the scene that comes before another one like doesn't directly influence that like whenever it comes up.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of like mini stories linked
That-
together
yeah.
by this guy sitting on a bench narrating his life
Right.
to honestly whoever is listening.
Right.
Whoever
Sits
wants to
down.
listen, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we get introduced to that character, and he's sitting on that iconic park bench with the box of chocolates and
Yeah.
that suit with his Cortezes on, all
Mhm.
muddy after running and stuff and everything, and he just tells his life story, I feel like I'm on the bench next to him, and I'm kind of just like,
All right, bro.
all right, like I'm just listening. I'm watching it as it's happening,
Yeah.
and I can't stop for a second to like write a favorite scene or
Yeah.
anything like that, or like if something strikes me in the story, then I'm like, oh, what the heck, and I go and write it down real quick.
Yeah.
So I didn't end up writing anything for favorite scenes here personally, but I've got loads in bro moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any favorite scenes?
No, not until yours. I mean, we see him talking about his younger life, how he has a 75 IQ, and he's just slightly below average when it comes to getting into school. Can't do that. We get to see like the dynamic he has with his mom, where they live in Alabama, and just this beautiful house, beautiful acreages. And then you just kind of see him to grow up, like how unfortunate his circumstance is, and yet he somehow is like making a way.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be like breaking out of his shackles as he's running away from the bullies on bikes.
Dude, that's
or just happened to run through the football program, and then them see that he's running faster than all the other football players, so he got in, and all that stuff. It all that's like the story that is being told to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was difficult for me to be like, oh, that's my favorite scene. It's my favorite. Because it's just like, I was just like, oh.
There's so much happening.
Just happened to do his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until he went out to the war.
Yeah, and basically, my favorite scene is the same as your favorite scene, essentially. And we find out he graduates college. I forget, I think he goes to, like, Ohio or something. No. Where does he go to college? Alabama. He goes to school in Alabama, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, my bad. And, like, he becomes, like, this big old football star for the school. And after 5 years, finally graduates. And I think it's, like, a Marine recruiter. Was like, if you thought about your future, and he's obviously doesn't think about those things.
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, I hate to say it, but he has the IQ of 75. So what else?
He's just kind of like living.
Yeah.
Like he's just
living la
putting
vida loca, dude.
Yeah, he's just putting one foot in front of the other, and whatever opportunity presents itself, he's like, okay,
all right.
He's like, go for it.
Yeah.
He's like that feather floating in the wind.
Yeah, he's
exactly.
Floating in the wind. And so from there, it shows us that he does decide to join the Marines.
I think the Army.
The Army. He joins one branch of the military.
Mm-hmm.
And we get introduced to one of my favorite characters, Bubba.
Yeah.
And Bubba is this guy from Louisiana who all he loves and all he knows is shrimping.
Shrimping business.
That's it,
Shrimping business. That's what he loves.
Yep.
And dude, I love this. I love Bubba. I want to be his best friend too. I want to be the best. What is he? How does he say it? The
best good friend.
Best good friend.
Yeah.
I want him to be my best good friend.
Yeah.
So we get introduced to Bubba, and Bubba and him just instantly click. They form this bond of like a brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially Bubba is like telling him everything about the shrimping business and what there is to do and what you can cook with shrimp.
Yep.
And this what made
Goes
it
on for ages.
This what made it my favorite scene was, I think it's like a good 3 minutes of he's just naming things.
You got coconut shrimp, lemon shrimp, beach shrimp, shrimp soup, shrimp salad, shrimp pasta, all that stuff. Yeah.
He's just naming food items.
It is like shrimp. Scene after scene, like it's going on throughout a couple of days. He's talking about it.
Yeah.
And then finally, they're scrubbing the floor with toothbrushes.
Yeah.
One, that's a bro moment. And he goes, I think the last thing he said was shrimp sandwich. And he pauses and he goes, I think that's all you can cook with.
I think that's about it.
That's about it.
And Forrest the entire time has like not said a word. He just lets him talk.
Mm-hmm.
And like even whenever he says, I think that's about it, he kind of looks at him and is just like,
all right.
all right, let's go back
to
it.
Yeah.
And it just made it one of my favorite scenes because it's just, again, before all this scene, you get to see what Forrest had gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see finally him have a friend that's not Jenny.
Yeah.
And someone who actually like wants to be with him and cares for him.
Yeah. Enjoys his company.
Yeah, enjoys his company. And it made me feel real good during that scene just to see that bond between them. And that's why I really love that scene.
Yeah, I agree. If you think about the earlier scene when he's first getting on the bus as a child and he's got his leg braces on and, I think people know his condition. And then he walks in and everyone is like, nope. Seats taken. Like
Can't
all
sit here.
I hate that.
And then it's only until he gets to Jenny that she's like, you need a seat? Are you going to sit down or what?
Sit here?
Yeah.
And we get that like brief little respite or brief connection, and then that grows, and then now he's on the bus kind of going through the same exact things. Nobody's letting him sit there, and it's only until Bubba is like, sit here, and they sit.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It is really cool. I mean, it's like it's around one of those times too where, segregation
was
just being broken. So, but it was still, I feel like,
still, yeah, there was still tension. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't even recognize any of those.
Yeah. I think one thing I wish this movie kind of did hit on more was like the severity of the history that was going on at the time. Like it kind of just
brief.
Yeah, it shows it like briefly and like how he influences things and stuff, and like, you know, like I'm thinking about whenever they desegregate that school, and one of the women starts walking in and she drops her book, and he like goes, "Ma'am, you dropped your book," and you know, kind of gives it back to her. I don't know. I just kind of wish that like
that would be a big deal.
Yeah, it would be a big deal. And
Yeah.
like I kind of wish like people would like
Be like, oh, this is
Be
something
like-
that he did.
yeah,
And, like,
or something like that, or like the severity of like all of the political assassinations that happened throughout the movie and all that stuff. Like, you know, it kind of just shows us to like show that time is continuing to pass.
Yeah.
Rather than like the actual consequences of those things happening.
Yeah.
You know. So,
I think it's meant to just serve as like a museum of all of America's history, you know,
Yeah.
rather than a deep dive into each political stingy scene and all that stuff. Which is why it's like, bro, he was there for every one of these things. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We get to see it through his more like naive eyes, you know, more like unbiased eyes,
Yeah.
which is funny. But even to extend it more to the whole army like section of this movie, him getting to meet Lieutenant Dan and hearing Lieutenant Dan's background of how all of his ancestors died in battle, and now it's going to be his turn. And, you know, them going to the war, and, you know, him writing to Jenny every day in the 40 days of rain or whatever it
Yeah.
was, and seeing his dedication to that, and then seeing the actual sabotage go down
Mm-hmm.
and what Forrest actually does.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's this. For some reason, these are stuck into my mind. I think it's because it's like one of the first times he really
Does something?
has a big loss because Bubba.
Yeah.
And
Dan, I said something completely opposite than you were going.
what?
When you said loss, and I said he does something.
Well, you know, he's going through. They've already got this brotherly bond. I mean, they're like, he's like, you lean on me and I'll lean on you, and we'll sleep like that. You know. And-
So we would have got to have our heads in the mud.
yeah, it's like they're.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
And they've promised each other that they're gonna become shrimping people.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be the captain. He's gonna be his first mate.
Yeah.
So they've got plans. They're gonna make it through, and then the sabotage happens,
Mhm.
and it comes out of nowhere. It's
Yeah.
you know, kind of scary.
Yeah. Which I've read is actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, I was
Um,
reading that somewhere
and
too.
You don't ever see really
Yeah.
who you're fighting against.
Yeah, especially when Vietnam happened. Like you never know where it was that you were getting attacked from,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was just always instant chaos, and you just kind of prayed and hoped that you could get out alive.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Even Forrest Gump, like as much as he influences in all this movie, he even goes on to influence a movie that come out years later, Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Oh
And-
yeah. Yeah.
and getting what gets him the Medal of Honor, right? Going back and saving all those guys, and then yeah, but he does it under the notion like every time I went back, I tried to find Bubba, but I couldn't find him, and some guy'd be asking for help, so I'd pick him up and go back and
Yeah.
run back looking for Bubba, and there'd be another guy asking for help, so I'd pick him up and then run back in looking for him.
This is another scene where he's just like a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic guy.
Mm-hmm.
And what seems to be somewhat selfish reasons, like I'm going to find my friend. He's never going to say no if you need help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'll succeed in doing it,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's with Ron.
Yeah. I even think too about like something as minuscule as like him towards the end of the movie when he's got all the money he wants and stuff, and like he just cuts the lawn. Like that's
For
his
free.
job, and he's like, I had not a care in the
Gazillion,
world. I had like $1 gazillion is
Mhm.
what he says. He's like, I would just cut the grass for free.
Honestly, that lawnmower looks fun. Like
I was
would,
thinking of every time he was on it, and it would show like the wide shots of like him cutting the grass. I kept thinking of like power washing simulator
Mhm.
or like,
it's just
or
satisfying
like
to just go
lawn mowing simulator to just be like go up and down and up.
hey,
And down.
it'd be fun sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes and finally finds Bubba,
Mm-hmm.
and Bubba's been shot, and he dies. And then you get the whole narration of him saying like, "I would have said more to Bubba if I knew it was the last time I'd see him."
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because it's like it's intertwining. Well, I guess it would be the end of that friendship, but it's also intertwining him with Lieutenant Dan, because Lieutenant Dan is on this whole like, I've got a destiny laid out for me.
Yeah.
I know my place in this world.
Right. My ancestors died with honor on the battlefield, and you've robbed me of that.
Yeah. Yeah, he saves him and takes him away with his legs freaking blown off.
Yep.
It's crazy, but it leads to a more like larger theme of the movie, which is one of the first ones I thought I really enjoyed.
Yeah, definitely. I even we didn't mention about like some of the little nuances of the whole Vietnam like part of this movie. I like whenever he's talking about the rain, and he's like, I experienced all types of rain. And we got big fat rain, and rain that come at you sideways, and rain that hit you, rain that stings, and rain that somehow comes down but back up at you or something like that. You know, and he's like walking in the water all like, you know, you know, little nuances like that make those scenes just as fun.
And then he gets shot in the booty, the buttocks.
Something bit me. Yeah.
He again he's like, I gotta meet the president, and then he meets the president, shows him his butt on TV. Yeah.
Which is wild. The president being like,
I want to see it.
I think I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I want to see it.
He just goes, there you go, dude. Moon you real quick and show you my cheeks on live TV. Yeah.
And then he goes on to play ping pong.
Yep.
I love that.
Yeah. I like this scene too, just because again of the little nuances that happen. Like, I love the specific detail of like whenever he gets introduced to ping pong, the guy tells him like, never take your eye off this ball.
He's going,
and like anytime he plays ping pong, that man never blinks. Like, he's just glued, just playing all the time, and it's just a fun little sequence of watching him like get better and better and better and better. But I even like the parts too whenever Lieutenant Dan is like struggling with not doing what it was that he wanted, and then like even confronting Forrest and like having a really like kind of like screen stealing moment where he's like, you took this away from me, you know, and like is like, why? I was supposed to die out there, and now I'm stuck here like this. Like, why did you do that? And Forrest, you know, not knowing any better, was just like, I'm sorry. I wanted you to live. You know, I was trying to save you. I was trying to do a good thing.
Yeah. He even goes on like, Lieutenant Dan has that like existential crisis of like, I was supposed to die and now I'm here. What do I do now? Yeah. Like, I wasn't planning for this. I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, exactly.
I can only imagine his just utter defeat.
Yeah, seriously.
Utter no feet.
Oh.
That was a roast.
That was terrible. But yeah, and then I don't have another one until the end.
Okay.
Yeah, hit me with it.
The ending, I think, some reason still really hits me. I just have so much care for Forrest. I want the best for him, and he continually is kind of served piles of poop when it comes to his love life with Jenny. She's continually
shafting him. Yeah,
continually, you know, taking a step forward and then retreating and running away. Right. You know, being intimate together and then completely leaving him. Yeah. And you know, it's all throughout the film. She's there for brief moments, and he's there to protect her, show her that he cares, show her that he loves her the way that he knows how, and she never reciprocates and leaves him. And it's only until, we get the whole like conclusion of his story and why he's on the bench. He's on the bench waiting for the number 9 bus to go to Jenny's because he got a letter. And I thought it was so funny that the lady was like, "You don't even need the bus. It's just a couple blocks that way." He's immediately like, "What? I gotta go!" And he gets up and just obviously does what he does best: run. Yeah. And he makes it, and we get to see, you know, her life now after they had that intimate moment together years back. I think it was like 6 years or something.
Because what's his name? Haley Joel Osment.
He's old
like that. Yeah, he's a baby in this. Yeah, and comes out with those. It looks like a wig. His hair.
It does, huh?
And he goes, "Hello, Mr. Gump. Can I watch TV now? I'm watching Bert and Ernie." Yeah.
It's crazy, though, because you walk in and you see Jenny, and she's kind of like, she looks so much better than what she did look, especially around that New Year's time.
Yeah.
She just came home from work. She's got a nice little apartment, and she's talking to him, he's like super happy to see her, and then she's like, oh, I actually wanted to tell you something, and then like the nanny or a friend comes in with this kid.
Yeah.
And Forrest is like,
You're a mom? You got a kid?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And she's like, yeah, I named him Forrest after his dad.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason I was like, I just felt an overwhelming sense of like, because he goes like, he's the most beautiful thing I ever saw.
Yeah. It's even a little bit of a tearjerker moment when like the first thing that he cares about is if he's smart.
Yeah.
Like if he inherited what Forrest has
Yeah.
or not. And she like immediately reassures him like
Smartest kid in his
he's
class.
the smartest kid in his class, and he starts like tearing up over that, and just starts having
Yeah,
this
it's
moment.
definitely a tearjerker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes and sits, and they both do that little head tilt thing.
Yeah.
And where I really get is, I think she, even in this scene, she tells him like, Forrest, I'm sick. I got a virus and they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
What do you think she had?
I think the theory is that she has AIDS.
That's what I
It's
thought.
like it coincides with the AIDS epidemic that kind of happens around that time
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
period as
thought.
well.
And especially
But-
with her drug use as well. It's kind of
Right.
like, or even, she was like bouncing back and forth between all that kind of stuff. So
She was
Right.
home hopping.
But then I find out there's a sequel to the book that
Yes.
got written, and the writer
it's called like
Writes down
Gump
that-
and Family or something like that. Gump and Friends.
Gump and Co.
Gump and Company. Or
Yeah,
Gump and Co.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the writer writes that she gets Hep C.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's the virus that she ultimately
What's
dies
Hep
from, is
C?
hepatitis C. And yeah, it threw me for a loop because I was always under the impression that it was like HIV or something like that whenever that epidemic was going around.
Mhm.
So, but
Well, either way, they get married, and
with the little time that she's got.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful. You get to see Lieutenant Dan finally make peace with God and with himself, and he comes and he's got his brand new titanium legs. He's met a woman,
Yeah.
and it's so just heartwarming to see all these people.
What my immediate thought whenever I saw him was, it's joy, right? And he goes, magic legs, and shows him the titanium alloy, same stuff they made out of the space shuttle, and
Mhm.
all that stuff. And they're getting married, and the one guy that has no legs is the one guy that doesn't get to sit down during the wedding. Everyone sits down but him. They make him stand.
Really?
Yeah, he stands in the back, and I'm like, bro, this is the one guy that should be sitting if he could.
It
And you guys are not letting him.
His legs didn't have a joint. They didn't make wood joints when they first started.
They just made him straight, bro.
So his legs be
Yeah.
straight out like that.
Who was it that used to walk with try not bending their knees? Bruh.
I don't know. I when I saw that, I immediately was like, if anyone should be sitting, it should be him. Like, he should be the one guy that should be sitting right now. And you guys are not letting him.
He
You're making
wasn't.
him stand. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, that whole wedding sequence and all that stuff is very heartwarming, to say the least.
You guys didn't cry whenever she had passed?
I
No.
got teary-eyed, but I didn't cry. Like, it just made me emotional when he got emotional.
Yeah.
That's
That's
I didn't get teary-eyed. I felt it, right? Like, there's definitely the emotion that you can pick up there from him, and it's part only to Tom Hanks' acting there.
And here's something about me, though, and this is a true story. I think, and it's weird. If I see, like, a guy cry, I'm a male. If I see him cry, I'm crying too. Like, if I were to see you cry, anytime I see Nick cry, I cry. Anytime I see you cry, I cry. Anytime I see my dad cry, I cry. Anytime I see, like, literally, I saw my boss cry one time and I cried.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was crying.
You're empathetic.
Yeah.
And so I saw him, and I'm just like, but like if a girl cries, like I could laugh.
I know. I have the same thing, but I cry like when anyone cries. If someone starts crying
or like
on
a
screen,
baby.
yeah, like if someone starts crying on screen, or if someone next to me or someone that I'm having a conversation with starts to cry, then guess what? We're crying together.
Yeah.
like
See,
that's happening. But Yeah.
So
I don't
like,
know.
That's how I got when I was watching that part because, one, I didn't remember it too much, so it's like it kind of did hurt because I didn't expect her to die like that.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
the
that-
narration says that Thursday you died.
You died on a Tuesday.
I was like,
Yeah.
right when he gets what he wants,
Yeah.
you know, right when he has his family.
Yeah.
Again, it's being ripped away from him.
Yeah. And I felt the emotion in this scene for sure. And like I think what really kills me inside is that, again, Forrest is the only thing that he is like really striving for when it comes to Forrest is making sure that he's smarter than him.
Mm.
And like that's the one time he starts to cry. Right whenever he starts to say he's so smart, Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be so proud of him. He starts crying. And like that's the emotional tearjerker part for me is that he's already trying to make sure that his son is better than he is. And like luckily for him, he has all of the resources to make sure that he gets into, you know, the best schools and the education he needs and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a tearjerker for sure.
Yeah, definitely got me when he said, Forrest wrote you a letter.
Yeah, but he
So
doesn't
you
want
took-
me to read it. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's, of course, under that tree they always hung out with ever since they were kids.
I thought
Yeah.
that was really cute actually when he says, "You got." I think he was like, "I got you laid under our tree," and I was like,
Yeah,
I bulldozed that house.
yeah,
"Yeah." Oh, we'll talk about that. That's in bro moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just, I think it was a perfect way to end it.
Mm.
You know, she kind of had to suffer the consequences
Mhm.
of her actions throughout the whole film. I mean, she's kind of like, ever since the beginning, I mean, her life has pretty much set her up to fail. She has like a absolutely trash
childhood.
and that kind of bleeds through all of her decisions as she goes. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys a question just because it's on my mind right now. Because ultimately, I end up hating Jenny. Like
Jenny sucks. No, Jenny sucks.
She sucks.
It's hard because we see it through Forrest's eyes.
Yeah.
And we see
No,
like,
I don't care if I were to see it through her eyes.
but like,
Her actions literally caused her where to
But
go.
what I was gonna say is, I can only think with the way that her actions have been shown to us throughout the movie, that she only wants to get in touch with him and get married because she finds out she's gonna die,
yeah,
that's how
And-
they lay
and
it
she
up.
wants
and she wants to like.
little Forrest to have a good life.
It's
Right.
valid criticism. They do. I don't think they do. I genuinely think that she loves him and wants to be with him.
No, I don't think she wants to be with him. I genuinely think she loves him for him, but not for the love that
You
he
think she's a?
provides.
You don't think she thinks she's
I
a
think
gold
she
digger?
like-
She's a gold digger. Do you think so too?
No, I think she loves him as a friend. I don't know, like romantically.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's more what I'm trying to say. Romantic.
You know?
No,
And like
I
they
just-
ended up having a kid with one another, and she by this time should have known that she's already sick or something like that. So then, of course, she dumps it on him and is like, "I'm sick. I'm not gonna last very long. Want to get married?" It's like,
And it
okay,
pisses
dude.
me
Like you
off
know you're
because-
gonna die. And you're stringing this guy along to make sure your kid gets a good life, you know, and all that stuff. Like,
Now the question
don't
is, do
know.
you think that's really her son? His son?
Yeah, I do.
yeah,
It's tough. You know what? It's hard. A lot of the scenes in this movie, it's because you care so much about Forrest.
mm-hmm.
You care so much. I mean, and he
How
deserves.
could you not?
He deserves none of the stuff that he gets. Pretty much,
No.
he is like a complete. He's like he does everything right. You know what I mean. He always
Mhm.
tries to do the right thing, always, and he's complete. He's always getting shafted by Jenny, always.
Mm.
Jenny
But
sucks.
she has like the worst childhood, like the absolute worst. Her literal father had
assaults her.
assaults her.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, and then like from there she just gets passed around until she's leaves for. Where does she go after that?
She leaves with her grandma, and
She
then they
leaves
go to
with her
college, and
grandma.
then she goes to college, and then
Right, the
from-
all-girl college.
right.
And that's where I want to draw. That's where I would draw the line. She's an adult there. She knows what she's doing.
I don't know. You learn the skills you need to thrive, both
Exactly.
socially and physically, mentally, all that from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a stable encouraging, empowering, loving family.
It's gonna be hard.
How are you gonna emulate that as you go? You've only known that, so the decisions only come naturally. Like, okay, she didn't have a father figure. She's gonna turn towards these men in her life that are abusive. She's gonna turn towards the drugs that make her feel good for moments.
Yeah.
To me, it just seems like it's only inevitable
That she's having a rough life. Yeah, and I agree in that aspect, right? There's definitely more nurture versus nature in that aspect of the relationship. But it just like
I get it. I get it.
It rubs me the wrong way.
Like right
as she's about to die.
Yeah.
She just immediately is like, "Let's get married now."
Like,
and I'm
I
like,
want to move over back to Alabama with you.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she literally goes.
It feels like one of those like deathbed confessional type things where like somebody lived this like raunchy life, and then right as they're about to die, they're like, "I believe in God now." It's like, what happened this whole time? Like now because you're scared, you wanna get some insurance, like
Now you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I see that.
It kind of feels that way to me.
No, and I actually get you, and that's why I feel like people will come for me, but I don't think Jenny married him for the right reasons at all. At all.
Man, I don't know. There's an argument to be made that she did though too. Like maybe she finally realized her love after all these years, and like.
There's no way,
I don't
dude.
know.
If someone showed me the love that Forrest was trying to give her, I'm falling in love with you, bro.
If you bring me breakfast in bed, I'm falling in love with you.
Well, it's hard
No,
too
because
if you let me touch your chest, I'm falling in love with you. Like,
I'm ruining some robes for you.
yeah.
But how many times has he protected her?
This is true.
A lot, but it was always unwanted by her.
Yeah, this is also
Yeah,
true.
but it's all.
Hey, she puts herself in demoralizing situations.
Exactly. She puts herself in situations that she knows she shouldn't be in. So she gets.
But it's also like her only opportunity. Like I think of whenever she's in the club singing and she's nude, like only the guitar is covering her. To her,
that's her fault.
That's her shot.
But that's her. But to her, that's her shot, right? She said, "I want to be a famous folk singer," and this guy is letting me sing to an audience.
Yeah,
this
but
might be a way that I could get famous.
There's other ways to do it, and the reason why she ended up there was for that picture that got leaked.
Yeah, the Playboy.
Yeah.
So she could have gone a different route and had a better life and a better route than that.
Easier said, man.
It is easier said than done.
It's hard.
It's hard.
I can imagine another movie.
We're getting heated for a movie that's.
I can imagine a movie through her eyes,
Yeah.
and maybe we'd be more sympathetic towards her situation.
You would think so?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I
probably.
mean, we get
brief
snapshots of her life.
Yeah, that'd
Her
be
life,
interesting. Actually,
her life is, from what we see, is crappy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's every guy she's with, every situation she's in, just overall. And maybe you got to look about it at the aspect of I know for a fact she doesn't value herself
No.
enough to
Yeah, she thinks about suicide.
to
twice
accept the
in
love.
movie. Yeah.
To accept love from someone else, she's probably like, well, I don't even deserve it.
Yeah.
And then you got to think about the social stigma of he does have a disability.
Yeah.
I mean, what if she's like, I don't want
to be seen with that. Yeah.
As
harsh as that sounds, yeah.
Yeah, people do have those thoughts.
Yeah.
So there's angles to look at it here. But yeah, that ending kind of comes quick, and she's like, I'm dying. Let's get married.
Yeah.
So I looked up what hepatitis C is, and it's
Not
the
enough
use-
oranges.
Didn't get enough.
Some emergency.
It's something terrible, I know.
It's the use of sharing needles and unsterile equipment.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
That's why I bring up, her drug use and all that. So
All right. Any other favorite scenes here?
no, let's get into bro moments, man. Oh no,
No, we gotta go to
Best quotes.
Yeah.
best quotes.
Which there are a handful.
There's quite a bit.
My first one being the iconic, "Life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get."
Mm-hmm.
Who else
Stupid
is?
is as stupid does.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that quote so much. I really feel like it fits him.
Yeah. And for the longest time, I never understood what that meant.
I kind of don't know what it means,
Like-
but it's okay.
It
There's-
only took me until now to realize that it's kind of like you're stupid based on your actions, not who you are as a person.
Yeah. So
And
if
you like, you are stupid, you're also doing the thing, right? Stupid is as stupid does.
yeah, like you're only stupid if you do stupid things.
Right. Exactly.
And I think it comes from another quote. I can't remember where from that says handsome is as handsome does.
Mm.
So
Like
yeah,
that.
stupid is as stupid does. That's pretty good.
Another one that I liked, actually, I thought was pretty funny. I caught it whenever it was happening. It's whenever I think Forrest and Lieutenant Dan meet back up again in New York or wherever it is that they're staying. And they're at his apartment, and Lieutenant
Trying
Dan
to find
asks
drinks.
him, no, Lieutenant Dan asks him, have you found Jesus yet, Gump? And he goes, I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him, sir. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
One that I thought that was pretty cool that he said on the bench and pretty close to the beginning was, my mama always said you got to put the past behind you before you can move on.
That's
Like
why
that.
he runs.
Yep.
He also said, Mama always said dying was a part of life. I sure wish it wasn't.
Yeah. Tough. Well, let's bring up the mood a little bit, because my last one here is whenever Lieutenant Dan makes good on his promise and comes and sees Forrest as the shrimp boat captain that he is, and he jumps off the boat and runs up there real quick, and Forrest comes up and asks him, like, Lieutenant Dan, what are you doing here? And he says, well, I thought I'd come out here and test out my sea legs.
He's like,
And
"You
Forrest,
ain't got no
yeah. He goes, you don't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan. And he's just like, immediately, I know that, Forrest.
No subtlety.
It's so funny.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Any other quotes here?
No.
I'm looking at some right now.
Bit
I
me
don't see
directly
any.
in the buttocks. Just saying that to the
Yeah.
president of the laugh.
Or what about we got more money than Davy Crockett?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then, of course, the iconic Run, Forrest, Run.
Yeah.
I always feel like one of us always ends up saying, I know what love is.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, what about the one that says sometimes I guess there just aren't enough rocks?
Oh, okay.
That one's crazy.
Yeah. All right. Any other ones here?
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Let's move into Bromance. My first one, I don't remember this for some reason.
Me neither. Okay, I know exactly.
Wait.
Finding out Forrest is related to the founder of the KKK.
How you got his name? How you got his name, bro?
Why, dude?
It's crazy.
I was like,
That's my first bro moment. I said, how Forrest got his name.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's insane. I never realized that. Or, don't remember.
I don't. Yeah, I blocked that out. I think I was like, he
Yeah.
starts talking about it like
He's
we're all
like, yeah,
nonchalant.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, they'd get up and get it together and dress in bed sheets and scare people like they were ghosts or something.
And
I
you
was
see
just
the
like,
freaking.
dude, what? That's insane. I never thought about that.
Bro,
I don't remember that.
immediately my next one was the principal blowing mama's back out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I put this was okay. This was another one of those scenes that my dad would he would bring up, and it's one of those.
Minecraft villager.
I know. I know.
You straight away.
I don't have enough rasp.
But my dad, when I thought about Forrest Gump, this was one of the scenes he would bring up all the time and try to make me uncomfortable and laugh at it and stuff. But he would always come up to us and just be like, "Yo, mama sure does care about your schooling, boy." And then afterwards going,
Yeah. It's savage when he does it back to him.
yeah, seriously.
This whole scene though is so.
It's insane. And props to mom, right? She's good doing anything she can to
Get the school
get-
normal.
to get the schooling that Forrest needs.
Yeah.
Right. Or
Just
that
anything to have his life be better.
right.
to be normal because she doesn't want him to be looked at differently.
right.
She tells him in the beginning, don't ever tell anyone or let anyone tell
That
you're different.
Yeah.
You are just the same as everybody else.
Yeah. And one, bargaining point that she does have is, as well as any woman, is sex.
Yeah.
And she uses that to her advantage to try to get her kid into school. And the principal, being the dirtbag that he is, takes advantage of that and gets Forrest into the school that he needs to be in. But yeah, it's nonetheless a bro moment.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's a big
That's
bro
wild.
moment.
Yeah.
But
Making him sit outside on the swing, dude.
Yeah.
hearing everything. The fact that he's so vocal.
Yeah,
And
dude.
he's okay with it.
The window's open.
All
too,
of
like,
them.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro,
It's pretty
be
wild.
considerate.
Yeah, seriously.
He wants to know. He's asserting that dominance on him
Yeah,
already.
let's
He's
let's shut the window. Let's put a blanket on the window to kind of muffle it. Like, let's try to
No,
soundproof the room a little
he
bit.
said,
Not even
nope,
close.
full blast.
Yeah.
Not even close. What about him dancing for Elvis? I know we talked about
Yeah.
that a little bit, but
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
giving him that like little leg, stank leg.
Yeah, and then being like, "Yeah, do that thing that you were doing again, real quick," and then moving on a little down the ways, and he was like, "I saw that man on the TV doing this dance, and it was crazy." And then his mom being like, "This is not intended for children's eyes. Move."
Why do you think she did that?
Well, Elvis
At the
Elvis
time,
dancing
was,
like that was
like
a
they say he was
talking point.
possessed.
Like, yeah, they were like saying like he is manipulating the minds of young women, making them sexual. Like, it was one of those things where women actually, young women, I should say, teenagers started to like really, I guess, like fantasize about a
biting
person
the
or
lure.
like fangirl, right? Like, for lack of a better term, because like same thing happened with the Beatles, but that was way later. But like Elvis was a thing. Like, I remember when my grandma was alive, her talking about how she saw Elvis once in concert, and she was like, that was like one of the best nights of my life. Like, being surrounded by girls who also felt the same thing as her, like just being so in love with this guy and just how cute he was and how he moved and
That's every
how he
Taylor Swift
sang and
fangirl right
all
now.
that stuff. It was a crazy thing. That's why like Elvis had so much controversy surrounding him at the beginning of his career, because people wanted him played off the air because he sounded black and he, moved the way he did. He gyrated his hips. It was suggestive. It was off the wall for the time, and that was stuff that you didn't do, and he was doing it. So
yeah,
yeah,
him breaking through leg braces, I thought was iconic too.
Yeah.
Dude, he broke
Yeah.
these both
Just
off.
running and then just shatters him as
Yeah.
he's going. And then
what
I love.
about before then when he gets beamed with those rocks?
Oh
dude?
yeah, true.
Straight gets hit in the face with them.
True. I love it too how they show like his subtle speed, because they'll go and then it'll pan over to the bullies on the bike or running or whatever. And then it'll pan back to him and you see like a dirt
Dust.
trail.
Yeah, straight up road runner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
What big bro moment was Jenny's dad.
Yeah.
big-
yeah.
moment.
Saying he would love on them and touch on them and all that stuff. all
But like
the
through
time.
his eyes, it was like he was just a
He
real
was just-
affectionate.
he was just a dad.
affectionate. But to anyone else, you're kind of like, oh,
You understand the context behind it, and then when you hear that, you hear him come out and say, "Jenny, where are you?" And she's like,
come on,
"Pray that I'm a
run.
bird and I fly away."
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah,
there's a whole different context.
Man, and it was all Forrest's fault too, though.
What do you mean?
He woke him up.
Oh,
He knocked on the door.
oh, I don't. Oh yeah, she
Oh.
did say he was taking a nap.
I don't know.
He was like,
I
"Shh,
don't know.
quiet, Daddy's sleeping."
Yeah, I don't know.
And then he comes out with the beer. Jenny, where are you?
Yeah. Next one for me. Forrest beating that dude up that's making out with Jenny.
Oh
in
no,
the car.
no,
Yeah.
but-
Dude, him like no questions, just immediately opens the door, just starts just the throwing hands immediately
Yeah.
is crazy.
He lays hands a lot this movie, dude.
Yeah, he does.
He's
Dude.
crazy.
You know what else he lays hands on? Jenny's breast.
Yeah,
That's
You know
a
what
bra
else he
moment.
does?
yeah,
He busts in 0.1 second.
yeah.
He said,
I never
said-
The
noticed
subtlety
that.
was,
ah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
flew over my little brain whenever I was a kid.
I like
Didn't
I,
understand. I thought he was just like,
This is
I
too
can't-
much.
Too much. I can't do
Like
it.
he was scared.
yeah. It took until this most recent
Yeah.
rewatch to understand that man was
Ruined the robes.
Yeah, seriously, dude. And I never noticed that. Like, and he even says it too. Like, whenever he does touch her, he goes,
Dude.
has his old O face that comes out, and then she's like, "Oh, it's okay." And then he mentions like, I ruined your roommate's robes,
It's
bathrobes.
like, that's
or
okay. I
something."
hated her anyways.
Yeah, and it was like,
And she was awake.
oh,
Yeah, that's
dude, I never noticed this.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Seeing him do that face. There was a video on TikTok of a little kid. He imitates how his parents were acting in bed.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And
Where he's like, "I'm gonna beat you up" or something
she's
like that.
I'm gonna
saying
beat you
thing.
up, and he literally just starts shaking in the chair. He's like, ah, ah. And he's like imitating how they sounded in bed.
It's just the most.
I'll
embarrassing-
find
That's
it for you.
unhinged, dude.
That's embarrassing.
Imagine your kid telling you,
No,
Mama,
no,
what
dude.
happened?
Dude,
All I heard
no.
was,
Yeah, it is
Are you
embarrassing,
okay?
bro. That's something I'm glad I never experienced as a
Yeah.
kid. Like I have friends that have those horror stories
of like, oh, I walked in, or
yeah, things like that, and I'm like, dude, I'm thankful that I don't have something like that, dude.
Yeah.
I am blind to that aspect of my parents' lives, dude. Like that's non-existent in my mind.
good. That's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Another
man.
bro moment here I've got after that was seeing Jenny in Playboy.
Yeah.
well, yeah, like I
Pictures up
said,
there.
that picture like kickstarted almost where she ended up.
Yeah, it was because of that picture that this guy got in contact with her, and she started acting in a show and singing, and
Well,
to,
she
to
got
Forrest's knowledge,
She
it
got
was
kicked out of school.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
got kicked out of school for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that whole scene of her singing too, because that song, she got a beautiful voice. She really
Yeah,
does.
She's singing
She's trying.
How
"Blowing in the
many
Wind"
roads-
by
yeah.
Bob Dylan. She calls herself Bobby Dylan.
Does she?
Yeah, and she's singing "Blowing in the Wind."
It's and then obviously the guys in the crowd are rowdy and
Yeah,
throwing drinks
they
at
say,
her.
"I want to see some meat. Show me something." And
Yeah.
she's like, "No, I'm performing. This is not what I'm actually trying to do."
Again, he freaking
Yep.
throws the hammers out.
Well, because that guy like goes to try to grab her,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then
he's protective.
Yeah. After that, my next moment is seeing all of Forrest's letters that he wrote to Jenny get returned to sender.
that's a big bro moment.
It's a stack of
It's a
them.
fat stack.
Yeah.
I want to say like a good 50.
Yeah, seeing that she never
She never even got him.
answered, never even got a single one of them.
I just wanted to talk about the CGI real quick when it was a big bro moment because I audibly gasped when I saw it. It's when Bubba and Forrest are running, or
And the napalm
Oh,
And
drops.
the
napalm
napalm
behind
shot?
him. Yeah.
it's
It doesn't
so
look
bad.
Yeah. It's got the Oscar
it's
for
like
best effects. too.
literally right behind him. He would
Yeah.
like
He
there
would get some
be,
burns, bro.
He would have flown forward. There's Forrest there.
Yeah.
It's like right behind him.
Yeah, he would have had some burn marks on the back of his head or
Yeah.
something.
He
real.
would be bald in the back of his head. His
Singed
hair
off.
singed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way he's walking out of that unscathed.
Yeah.
That was
And-
one of the only times the editing didn't work for me.
Okay. Dude,
Well,
what,
there's
what about the editing, like, superimposed mouth, like,
Yeah.
annoying orange type mouth on JFK
There's-
or
yeah.
some of the presidents? Yeah.
I noticed that at this watch where it doesn't look like it looks just not natural.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't look believable at all.
Yeah, I imagine for the time, 94, it was probably pretty pivotal.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But some of the effects are great.
yeah.
Lieutenant Dan's legs being gone?
The,
I'm convinced.
the
dude.
ping pong ball?
Yeah.
Like,
The ping pong ball?
in all the duels, like, the ping pong ball is CGI. But it looks pretty insane.
And the noise you hear, that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, seriously.
What about Lieutenant Dan on top of the boat as he's like
Dude.
confronting God?
Yeah.
I thought that was
It's
crazy.
you and me. I'm right here.
Yeah. And it's almost like if this didn't happen, their shrimping career wouldn't have taken off.
Yeah, because that like they're straight up in the middle of a hurricane.
Yes.
We find out, and it takes out every boat
Except
on the shore
theirs.
except theirs. So they got a monopoly like
Yeah.
on the shrimping business right now, and it just kicks their career like to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah. My last bro moment here is actually just finding out that Forrest has a kid.
Mm.
That whole
Mm.
scene is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
That was
Yeah.
a big bro moment.
Yeah.
what other bro moments we got?
My big moment was Jenny telling him that she's sick. I didn't remember that.
Mm.
I didn't remember like most of the ending. I did not remember.
Okay.
What about the mom dying?
No,
Yeah, I
you know
mean-
what? That wasn't a bro moment, because the way that she like passed away was like good.
It's kind of just like, yeah, my time's come.
Yeah.
I'm
Like, she
old.
was like ready for it, and like she was content with his life.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And I think she was content with the way that he was there for her.
That's true. What about, okay, this is a bro moment that I really loved. Yeah, I mean, he's dead. He's singed. Anyways, we get the whole idea of Bubba and his family and Shrimp being a part of their generation and generations back. And you always see, like, Bubba's family are the servers.
They're always the ones preparing the meal.
They're preparing the meal, and then once he makes it big, he makes it through the hurricane and makes all that money, he donates back to the family like he said he would. Yeah. And then now you've got the mom.
Reversal.
The mom sitting down being served herself. Yeah. And it's just like a...
Yeah.
He did good on the promise, and now she
gets to live a great life.
Yeah.
Because of her son.
Yeah. I think he said it was his 80 or 60% cut or something like that.
No, I thought it was 50-50.
I thought it was they agreed 50-50. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Definitely. Any other bro moments here?
Mm-mm.
No, none that I can remember.
All right. Well, let's dive into facts with the bros. I'm really curious to know the box office return here because I was seeing 250 million, 350 million. I'm curious.
Yeah. So to make this movie, it was $55 million. Opening weekend, it made $24.4 million. Gross for U.S. and Canada made $330.4 million. And gross worldwide made $678.2 million.
Dude,
money,
man, that's insane.
More than half a billion dollars, dude.
Jeez. I believe it.
So I didn't know the actual number, but I did see a fact that because of how wildly successful the movie was, obviously a sequel was in talks immediately afterwards. But at the time, Tom Hanks had a rule that he would never do sequels. And that put a wrench in the plans. Like, how do we do a sequel to the film with a guy that is the character? Like, we can't just recast him. That's not going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And the whole making a sequel rule, they didn't how do I say this? It didn't change in Tom Hanks' mind until Toy Story 2 and 3 and Angels and Demons, which came after.
Dude, Angels and Demons is such a good movie. I don't care what anybody says.
It came after that movie, The Da Vinci Code. When those started coming around, he kind of reconsidered his stance on doing sequels.
I'm glad. It would not have. I don't think it would have worked.
Right.
I think this is a complete story.
Perfect. It was a perfect. So
I had mentioned that there was a sequel to the book called Gump and Co. that was also written by the author, and the screenwriter for this movie, Eric Roth, he attempted to adapt the movie in 2001, but 9/11 ends up happening at the time, and it kind of changed the world, right? To the extent that it kind of made the film a little bit irrelevant, and it wasn't going to happen at that point. And despite several attempts to try to revive the project and the absence of a formal cancellation and all that stuff, the sequel was just kind of in the development hell that we kind of hear about. And there was tons of things that were supposed to happen in this movie, which I thought were kind of crazy. In regards to the sequel, if it did get released, in the movie, it would have gotten meta, right? So Forrest would have been aware that Forrest Gump was a movie, and he would have been upset that the movie got details of his life wrong.
What? No.
Right.
No,
yeah.
no,
yeah.
no.
So the sequel novel mentions that the movie does actually happen in Forrest's world. They make a movie about him, and that he gets upset that they stretch the facts, and it's an inaccurate telling of his life, and it brought him unwanted attention and press to his life and all this stuff. And that in the movie, Forrest Gump also meets Tom Hanks in real life. Yeah.
I'm so glad it didn't work out.
Yeah, the sequel would have been crazy.
No.
It would have been wild.
Unneeded.
Yeah. I was reading all this, and I was like, what, dude? What? I'm glad it didn't get made.
Yeah.
But this would have been insane. The meta turn that it takes, where Forrest Gump is aware that a movie was made about his life, and then he meets the guy who plays him, and
No, thank you.
all this stuff. Yeah, crazy.
One thing I always wanted to know was what he said when the mic went out as he was doing that speech at Washington, D.C.
Oh yeah.
I always wanted to know what Tom Hanks actually says what he said. He goes on to say, sometimes when people go to Vietnam, they go home to their mamas without any legs. Sometimes they don't go home at all. That's a bad thing. And that's all I have to say about that, is what we caught at the end. But
Yeah.
I thought it was super interesting to hear what he said.
Yeah, seriously.
'Cause I was always like, why'd they cut that out? What
Yeah.
was it? What was it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I always thought like he was like cussing for some
Yeah, or
reason
saying-
because the guy before him, like anytime he goes to curse, he says the F word a lot. F this and F that, and anytime he does it, like feedback happens or something happens to where you can't make it out what
Mhm.
he says actually. Yeah.
One thing that I wrote down that was pretty cool, dude, talking about the crew, was Tupac, the famous singer, auditioned for the
Singer?
role. Yeah,
Tupac is a rapper.
a rapper, singer.
You put Tupac on the
Artist.
same scale as Adele?
No.
Almost same thing, same difference.
Lyricist.
That is insane though. Could you imagine Tupac playing Bubba?
Bubba.
No, I couldn't.
Being like, we got shrimp cocktails. like
Would he have the extra,
Oh,
extra
come
large gun?
with
oh,
me.
shrimp sandwich. Like,
Come with me. I got the shrimp.
I got the shrimp with me. What do we have here now?
Look at the
Shrimp cocktails all around. La,
La,
da, da, da,
da,
da. Dude, that would have been wild. I also saw that like Ice Cube was originally asked to play Bubba, but he refused it and said he didn't want to play a character that was stupid.
Really?
Yeah, and then I even saw Dave Chappelle was offered the role of Bubba, and he turned it down thinking that the movie was going to bomb. And then when he found out like how much
Wow.
money the movie made, he regretted it.
Yeah, that's a fool. He should be kicking himself.
Yeah.
Speaking of casting, Joe Pesci as Lieutenant Dan. What do you think about that?
No.
That wouldn't work.
You don't think so?
No.
No, the guy that plays Lieutenant Dan is perfect.
Who? I've never seen him play in any other movie though.
He stars alongside Tom Hanks in other movies like Apollo 13 and The Green Mile. Yeah.
Good stuff.
And he's just as good. I don't think he does much acting nowadays. I was reading that he does a lot of charity work for actually injured veterans
Oh, wow.
and raises a lot of money for charity to help with, surgery costs and money to get people on their feet whenever they get injured in war and
That's
stuff
cool.
like that.
Yeah, I saw they had like 13 private jets.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow.
Another one that I thought was pretty wild. We talked about the budget for this film being $55 million, which is insane. But I was reading that the studio was actually wanting to impose budget cuts to try to make the movie for cheaper and to keep the original number that they had set at. Both Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks decided that they would waive a large part of their fee in exchange for percentage points for like box office returns.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they ended up not taking a big cut of the budget for their salary, but because they took percentage points for
They
box
made
office returns,
exponentially more.
they made a ton. Like I
I
think
feel like that would be the better option.
the number,
either way.
well, but then that's the thing is it's always a gamble.
It's
You
a
Yeah.
never
risk,
know,
yeah.
right? But I think the number was like Tom Hanks ultimately ended up netting like $40 million from the movie.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just from the
From
returns.
Almost
one
as much as the movie
movie.
itself.
Yeah, from the returns alone. That's crazy.
From one, you're
Dude,
set for life for that. With that.
Just one movie, and he's gone on to do so many more. I mean, the net
What's
worth
his
on
net
this
worth?
guy gotta be insane.
Right.
Yeah. You have more on that? Or
Yeah. Another one I thought was wild. I never knew this. The line, iconic, "My name's Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump," is ad-libbed.
Is it really?
Is ad-libbed by Tom Hanks. And that scene was not originally in the script. Nothing like that. No, that interaction was not supposed to be there. But Tom Hanks did it while they were filming the scene, and Robert Zemeckis liked it so much he just decided to keep it.
Yeah.
And it's become iconic.
I like it too.
Yeah. I also found out, this is wild, casting what ifs for Forrest. Okay? I mentioned it a little earlier.
Nick Cage.
No.
I win.
Good.
No. Because, again, I can only see Tom Hanks playing Forrest Gump. But I did mention somebody else maybe potentially doing it well. Bill Murray, John Travolta, and Chevy Chase. They turned down the role. Turned it down. So
Who's
they were
Chevy
offered.
Chase?
Chevy Chase is in all the National Lampoon movies, European Vacation, Christmas Vacation, all those guys.
Bill Murray, I could see it.
That's what I was gonna say. I could see Bill Murray doing it.
Yeah.
But
He's got the I think he's got the factor.
yeah, Travolta later admitted that passing on the role was a mistake for him. And then also Bill Paxton,
Bill Paxton
From
might have
Twister.
been cool.
the lead in Twister, the male lead in Twister.
As
Forrest.
Wow.
That was originally Robert Zemeckis' initial first choice
I
for the
actually
role.
like Bill Paxton.
But the studio demanded somebody with more star power. So ultimately, Tom Hanks ended up getting picked. The author of the book, Winston Groom, I think is how you say his name. He'd always envisioned John Goodman, who is like
John
a bigger guy. If you saw him, he's in a couple of the Coen brothers films. He had always envisioned him
John
as
Goodman.
Yeah, as he always envisioned him as Forrest Gump, because in the book, I guess Forrest Gump is like 300 pounds.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Thought that was pretty insane.
Heard too he also goes to space.
Yeah, yeah. He like is an astronaut or something like that in the book as well, or
However
something.
that works. Look, I found out that the original script for Jenny's father's fates is a little bit different.
Yeah, this was wild to me.
I was blown away reading this. So
Same.
in the original script, Jenny kills her father by releasing a tractor handbrake so it runs him over.
Yeah, I never knew this.
Bro.
Yeah. They
filmed it.
filmed it, yeah. And then they decided not to because they thought audiences wouldn't forgive her. No matter how bad her dad was, audiences would hate her for it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
I
isn't
might have
it
would've
also?
loved it.
It's a
It's a
deleted. Yeah, it's a deleted scene
Mm-hmm.
in like a certain edition of the film. I think it's the 25th anniversary or
Mhm.
something like that. It is a deleted scene. You could go watch it.
Blows my mind.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. Never knew
Yeah.
that. Any other facts that we got here?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, if we're done with the facts, what didn't work for this movie?
There was a lot of editing issues that I usually don't talk about them because I don't notice them.
Okay.
And by editing, I just mean like the CGI and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It just pulled me away.
Okay.
Like I specifically starting in the war, I like the napalm made me laugh. I literally laughed because of how bad it was,
Mm.
and I was like, "Bro, this is
Yeah.
horrible."
Yeah, the visual effects have definitely
Aged.
which is always the case with CGI in later movies. But again, at the time,
This was
it
probably
was,
the best
it was
of
pretty
the best.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to agree. Like
Yeah.
when I see the presidents on screen and him get like superimposed into like these historical pieces of history and historical pieces of history, what a saying. When I see him like get superimposed into these videos and these news broadcasts and meeting the presidents and stuff and seeing them like their mouths like
It just looks weird.
it doesn't look right.
Mhm.
And like I think especially like whenever he like gets awarded the Medal of Honor from Lyndon B. Johnson, like Lyndon B. Johnson starts walking away, but when he walks away, like his face gets all contorted and like you see like the top of his head for some reason as he's walking away, and
Yeah.
it's just strange looking. Like
Yeah.
I watch it now and I'm like, that looks bad. Like it hasn't aged right.
It has.
So
Especially those scenes. There are scenes where I was completely blown away, but yeah, those stuck out like a sore thumb.
yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. I also have to say, I personally think the writing is so-so here. A lot of things just kind of feel strung together. And when I watch the movie, I kind of don't feel like I'm getting a cohesive story. I feel like I'm just listening to someone be like, this happened, and then this happened, and then this.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that happened, this happened after. And it's like, I don't know. I'm having trouble kind of connecting with the story just because I feel like I'm getting fed, and I want to see it unfold before my eyes. But this guy just keeps being like, well, after that, then I did this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I also had trouble kind of feeling emotion. Like, I did feel emotion towards the end of the film for Forrest, but like he never shows any other there's no other scenes where he is emotive besides at the end. And I think the impact could have potentially been bigger had he shown emotion towards like the death of Bubba or his mom or like other things like that. And like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like maybe the writing just didn't allow that in that aspect. And also the messaging at the ending of the film kind of confuses me. Like, he's basically just saying like everyone has a destiny, but also no one does.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It feels like the film doesn't want to pick a side. So it just kind of says both. Like, you know? And I don't know. I just kind of found myself conflicted at the end.
I did find myself kind of bored in some parts, and I'm going to say that I found and this is what kind of blew my mind when you guys said it, was most of the parts with Lieutenant Dan, I didn't really care for. I just wanted to skip over. I thought they were...
Like, after the war?
Yeah, after the war.
I love that scene when it's New Year's and then he's just sitting there and all the confetti's falling on him. And he looks like he's so depressed.
I've used that. I've used that still for New Year's posts all the time.
I love it.
And just be like another year. Like, it just sit there. Yeah. I don't know.
He's got good development, man.
I like him.
Does.
I like him, but I just like... I at those moments, I don't really care. To me, he's
even when like he stands up for him. Whenever whenever the toots are over,
they're all right. I mean, it was all right.
He says like,
"Don't you call him stupid."
Yeah, he's like, he didn't want to be called crippled as much as I didn't want to be called stupid.
Yeah,
I was like, he understands now.
Yeah,
now that he's looked down on.
Yep.
Like there is some part. Sorry, there is some parts that he has that I like a lot, because like one scene that I like specifically, he goes, do you know what it feels like to not have your legs? And
he
Forrest,
goes, yes,
like,
I do.
I do actually, in fact, like,
like one of the only people who do.
Yeah.
And it's like things like that like make me like Lieutenant Dan, but I just wanted to pass by it.
I agree with you. I think personally, cut the whole running sequence. Like, it's only in the movie to serve as a function for Jenny to notice him again.
Yeah,
and like
him to kind of process why she left him in the first place.
Yeah, and I don't know. It just, again, it's an iconic part of the movie.
It is so iconic.
But
crap happens.
Yeah, but
smiley face.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. You could shave that down, and the movie would be like 2 hours exact.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's true. Although some of the best cinematography, some of the best shots, I think.
Some of the best shots are in those scenes.
Dude, when he's like thinking about the scenes again, talking to Jenny as she's like dying on the bed, dude, I love those.
And he's like, they look like there's two skies.
Yeah.
The reflective.
And he's like, and then when you were going through the deserts, you didn't know where the heavens started and the earth ended. I was like, all the shots look sick, dude.
Yeah.
But cut him. Cut it shorter.
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
There was just no use for it.
Okay. Anything else for what didn't work?
That's it.
Okay. What does work for this film?
Bro, I love this movie.
Acting.
Yeah, acting is so cool.
Yeah. I really enjoy the acting.
It's
here.
good.
Tom Hanks kills it. I'm totally blanking on the guy that plays Lieutenant Dan. He kills it too. Like, he even steals a couple of scenes.
Ooh.
Like, I think, in my opinion. Like, I was thinking the scene whenever he, pulls Forrest off the bed and, like, confronts him. And, like, he gives a good performance.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he genuinely feels, like, stricken with grief and just anger. And I enjoy his performance. I even like Jenny's performances as well.
For as little she's in it?
Yeah, I'm just blanking on her name as well, because ultimately
Robin Wright.
When I think of Forrest Gump, I'm thinking of Tom Hanks. So
yeah, me too. Unfortunate. I would say I like the perspective of Forrest. I like how, a lot of, like, even the heavier topics are really, they're like nuanced. They're a lot, like, they're not real ham-fisted in, like the stuff with the father, the stuff with her getting sick, all that like terrible stuff. Because we're in Forrest Gump's perspective, it's like real. You just see it as him like not really grasping the full effect of it, but it really leaves us to piece it together in ways that I think are like, oh, the father is this, and that's why she acts the way she does throughout her life. I like the structure of the film, I think.
Okay. I have to say, incredible score and soundtrack.
Dude, the soundtrack is amazing.
Tell me all the budget went to all these dang songs.
Yeah,
dude.
for the rights to all the songs, man. Yeah.
South Park's about like
yeah, and hearing like all the Doors
Yeah.
songs that get played, hearing Mrs. Robinson come on in this, like whenever he's straight up showing Lyndon B. Johnson his cheeks, all you hear is "Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson." Like, there's just great songs.
Yeah.
Put like sprinkled throughout all of this movie, and then I even think of like the score whenever he starts running, and it's like da 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 da. It's iconic.
Yeah,
you know, like it's just a great score. I think his name's the guy that did it is Alan Silverstry. Is great. It's become one of those things where like my dad, when I grew up a lot, listened to just tons of scores. And like whenever he would go on runs in the morning, he would listen to scores and like listen to like the Gladiator score and Forrest Gump and the Green Mile and all these like iconic movie scores. And I would always hear him playing some of this stuff, and it's just great.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? No, I had something.
This film is very entertaining.
Yeah.
This film is an entertaining film. And I feel like a lot of people can watch this and either laugh from it or just enjoy it. Like, I feel like this movie that you could put on, some people would be like, okay, yeah, I hated this. But I feel like this is a movie that you show anybody. And there is a part in this movie that they are going to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would be genuinely surprised if someone said that they hated the movie. Because it's genuinely enjoyable. It's a fun watch. There is something for everybody, and it's not hard.
No,
you know, it's not hard to watch. It's something you can put on and just have a good time with it, and not have to think too hard about it. Just enjoy your time. And it would surprise me if someone was like, "I hated Forrest Gump. It sucks," you know, because then I'd be like, you have to convince me because like I wouldn't go as that far as to say like it sucks. It doesn't. There's genuinely some great things about the film. So
yeah, just great. It's just overall great. I mean, it's funny. It's got like a lot of genres, action almost with the war stuff.
No, it has every genre in my opinion.
It's got a lot of genre. I mean, it's like it really scratches the itch of like a nostalgic American history kind of guy making it in my book. So yeah, it just hits in all the right ways.
All right, we got anything else for what did work? Okay, who wins this movie?
Tom Hanks.
It goes without saying.
Tom Hanks.
All right, what are some themes here?
Interesting.
Go ahead.
No,
go
you
ahead.
go. You.
I put you got to appreciate the life you got.
Okay,
true. I had a question of, did he succeed despite his disability or because of it? Because he definitely, I think his disability gives him advantages in other ways. He focuses on his strengths rather than his weaknesses. Like, especially when it comes to focus, that's why I even love the war scene even more, is because like the drill instructor is like, why are you like it? Or what? I forget what he says, but he goes, what's your purpose here? And he goes, to do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant. Yeah. And he goes, that's got to be the best answer ever. You must be a genius.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously we know his IQ and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's got that mental fortitude to be focused. That's why he's so good at taking apart his gun. That's why he's so good at ping pong. Like, that's why he's so good at running. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, his disability gives him advantages that he leans on rather than, succeeding despite of it.
I'm scared what
you think he's autistic?
Yes! Yeah, I didn't really say that.
I don't know. know.
Like, is that his disability? They never say. Like
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
They just say he's a little slow.
Like, they never specify. And like he has hyperfixations on things. He's able to do certain stuff really well. Like, you know, I'm just saying.
I literally was about to say, please don't say he's autistic, because I was thinking the same thing.
I'm just saying. It's a theory.
Yeah,
They really don't
just
say
low
what
IQ.
he says.
That all we know for a fact is just low IQ.
What's force?
Yeah.
So, but
Dump's
that's what
password?
I was questioning, because I would argue, he succeeded because of it.
Mm.
In which it makes it even more interesting at the end when he asks if his son is smart,
Yeah.
because you would think he would look back on his life and see all of his successes,
Mm.
and then think to himself, well, it doesn't matter if he is smart or not,
Yeah.
because I look how, if he thinks being dumb is bad, then how did he make it so far? You know,
exactly.
and then why? It's kind of interesting thought of him saying like, I don't want my son to be this, although he's been successful.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that because he has a higher IQ, he'll be just as great.
Yeah, and I think that goes to hit on like what I thought was the major theme of the film is destiny. And kind of like if Forrest was destined to have the life that he did, or if it kind of just all happened on accident. And that's kind of like the like symbolism of the feather, right? Like the feather comes in at a random point in time. Was it destiny that brought this feather here and that traveled with him in the Curious George book that he closes it in, or was it a random occurrence that just happened out of nowhere? And that kind of being a metaphor for his life as well. Was this destiny, or was it that feather floating? Like, what does he say? Like accidental, like on a breeze, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of up to the interpretation of the viewer or something. I guess,
and it's something we'll never get an answer to definitively.
Yeah.
But it's more of like how you go about life. Like if you have a positive mindset, success will come.
Yeah.
And you'll be naive in some areas, and sure you'll be like you won't sometimes, because sometimes realism, like if you're realistic, sometimes you can be a little negative, but you're more prepared for the horrible stuff of life,
Right.
which I think is a benefit. But of all, especially like of someone like Tom or Forrest Gump here, completely all positive, and he's innocent in a way where it's all of his actions are really genuine. And I think that definitely something to strive towards. I mean, he's a great, upstanding citizen.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, I don't know.
All right. Any other themes here?
I think we hit them. The only reason why I say is you got to appreciate the life that you got is just because I see this life that Forrest had. And he, obviously had the low IQ, and he went through so much crap, and he still was happy. He still found a way to smile. And he appreciated it. That's what I took from it.
Okay. Nice. With that being said, what are we rating this movie?
I'll go first, and since I picked it, I give it a 7.
7.
It's not a bad movie. It's not my favorite movie, but it's a movie that's definitely good, and I think everybody should watch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this one an 8. I just think it's a great movie. It's got some flaws, but overall, I'd return to it. I love this movie and would recommend it pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm going to piggyback off Abe and say it's a 7 as well for me.
All right.
So, all right. Well, if you guys stuck all the way to the end, we appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you're notified when uploads go up, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys are thinking. If you're listening on the audio platforms, hit us with a rate and review. Let us know what you're thinking there as well. It helps out, and it lets us know what you're liking about the show, what you might be disliking, ways that we can make it better, stuff like that. We appreciate the comments whenever we do get them, and it's always a spirit lifter whenever we do get them. So leave us a comment, rate and review. It helps out. If you want to get in contact with us, click into our episode descriptions and look at our methods of contact. We got our Instagram, Letterboxd accounts, and email address. So if you ever want to reach out, or if you want to communicate with us on a more private platform, you can use those methods of communication to do so. But as always, we're going to reveal our next pick for next week, which is my pick. And we're going to be doing a movie I haven't watched in a long time, but I remember it having an impact on me. And I think it came out in 2015. And it was by Prime Studios, which is... it was like a first for me to recognize that like Amazon Prime was making movies. But this movie ended up winning like Oscars, and I remember it being really good. And I'm excited to rewatch it. I haven't watched it in so long, and I've almost forgotten about it. So I'm hoping that it's like a nice return, because I'm thinking of one scene specifically that like is burned into my brain, and it's just because it's like tragic. So I'm excited to watch it. It's a film called Manchester by the Sea. Ooh. And it stars Casey Affleck. And I think this ultimately won him a Best Actor Oscar for the year that it came out. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's streaming on Prime. So if you've got Prime Video, check it out there. It's a great film from what I'm remembering. But again, that could possibly change. Who knows? So, yeah. Have you guys ever seen this movie?
No, and I was looking a little bit about it, and it looks beautiful, actually. So I'm excited to watch it.
It's a pretty crazy premise. Basically, to give you a little bit of a synopsis here, it's about a man whose brother dies, and the brother has a child who is like a 16-year-old, 17-year-old in high school, very much prepared to, go to college and become an adult and all this stuff. And his father dies. Casey Affleck's brother dies, and that leaves him with no parent, and the mom is not in the picture. So Casey Affleck, being the uncle that he is, takes in his nephew, and on top of like struggling with work and struggling with his own relationships, he now has to take care of this kid whose father just died. And it's a pretty I remember it being emotionally gripping, and it's a little bit of a tearjerker at some points from what I remember. So I've just been having the hankering to watch it again. I know you guys haven't seen it.
Never.
So I think it's the perfect opportunity to do so.
I'm crying.
So
I'm excited because I kind of want to watch a movie to cry. So.
I get you. I've been there. Anytime I want to do that, Eternal Sunshine, The Spotless Mind. I put that on, and I'm not moving the rest of the day. Yeah. I'm just gonna lay in bed and just be like, sit there and cry. So, yeah. All right. So check out Manchester by the Sea and tune in next week to hear what we have to say about that film. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.